Hey, church family, welcome to Barbecue Church. My name is Andre. If you don't know who I am, what's up? It's good to be here with everybody. Whenever you're watching, however you're watching, hopefully you're watching with somebody, just go ahead and tag them. I don't know, tag somebody in the comments. Put a fire emoji in the comments. Let us know that you are out there. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to Facebook. Shout out to all the campuses all over the country right now. Everybody that's locking in. It's just a whole different vibe, whole different experience what we're doing and pulling off at Barbecue Church. So we're so excited that you are able to jump in. At the time that this is airing, I'm most likely on a plane coming back from West Point. I work all their home games out there in New York. If you're not following barbecuechurch.com on Instagram, you want to go ahead and do that. And do that immediately. Also, make sure you're following the Andre Anderson. We have a giveaway going right now where we're going to be giving away a steak package and a seasoning package. So I think you're going to want to jump into that. Go ahead and make sure you jump over to those Instagram accounts. Make sure you like the post, comment, and do what it does to make sure that you can get entered in a drawing to win. We are going to draw the names of the winners tomorrow evening and then contact all the winners. We're doing this video facing a different direction, mainly because of the sun. It just is too bright and I don't want to look into the sun. My smokers are right there. I just turned it around. You can see my neighbor's house. I'm not even gonna know if they come outside. It's most likely the time that they get home. That's Jeff over there. When he normally comes home and reads a book and eats food on his patio all the time. So he might be in this and I'm not gonna know until I go to edit this video. So shout out to Jeff. We've all heard the story of David and Goliath. Most of us have. You hear the story of this young boy who goes out to hang out with his brothers, to go check on his brothers and take them some food. And he hears Goliath taunting God and taunting the armies of Israel. So the way that they play it out is that there's two armies facing each other. But instead of fighting, Goliath would come out and would say, look, let's not even fight. Let's send out one person to fight me, and whoever wins, that whole area wins. If you ever seen the movie Troy, they do that there, where they call out Achilles. It doesn't really work out for him either. So that's the way that this situation goes down, and the whole army is afraid. Nobody wants to go one-on-one. These people are used to fighting in a large group. They're not used to fighting one-on-one, so they didn't want to do it because they had no experience there. That wasn't their strong point. That wasn't their forte. And David hears all this, being a young kid, jumps in and says, I'm ready to slide at any minute. Let's go. And when my brother was talking to me about this, it really sparked a thought in me, because David had a swagger that no one else had. Everyone else heard the same thing. For 40 days, Goliath said the same thing. I challenge somebody to come out here and fight me. What's good? He's like, your army's whack, your God is whack, everybody's trash, run it. And nobody wanted to smoke. And then a boy comes out and he wanted all to smoke. He says, yeah, I'm down. This guy wants to talk about God. He wants to talk about what we do. Like, that's the God I know. That's the God that rocks with me. So let's slide, let's go. Run that, run them hands. He was ready to run them hands with a giant. It's wild when you sit down and look at it and go, you know what? This little dude jumped out there, and it talks about it, lions and bears. When a lion would come, when a bear would come, he would chase it down and he would kill it with a club in the wilderness. So David's sitting there, well, guess what? If somebody kills this giant, then he's going to get a wife and his family's not going to have to pay taxes anymore. Okay, his whole family? Ever? They're never going to have to pay taxes? I went in on that. He goes to Saul, and Saul's like, man, you just a kid. David goes, listen, lions and bears, cuz we good. God was with me then, God's with me now. Then they try to put on armor. They try to put on this armor on him. They try to put a sword in his hand. He doesn't know how to use those weapons. That's not what he's used to. That's not how he fought in the past. That's not how he's going to fight now. You can't go into battle using an unfamiliar weapon. You can't go into battle using a weapon that someone else uses or doing things in a way that someone else does them. You have to go with the way that God has called you to do it. So David goes out to fight. 1 Samuel 17:45. David replied to the Philistine, you come at me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of heaven's armies, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. Today the Lord will conquer you, and I will kill you and cut off your head. He didn't have a sword. David didn't have a sword. He didn't have a sword at the time. But he said, I'm going to cut your head off. And then I will give the dead bodies of your men to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. And everyone assembled here will know that the Lord rescues his people, but not with sword and spear. This is the Lord's battle, and he will give it to us. As Goliath moved closer to attack, David quickly ran out to meet him. Reaching into his shepherd's bag and taking out a stone, he hurled it with his sling and hit the Philistine in the forehead. The stone sank in, and Goliath stumbled and fell face down on the ground. So he stumbled, wasn't dead. So David triumphed over the Philistine with only a sling and a stone, for he had no sword. Then David ran over, pulled out Goliath's sword from the sheath. He used it to kill him and cut off his head. So he used it to kill him and then cut off the giant's head. And then you see later on, he came back to Saul and he had the head in one hand and the sword of Goliath in the other. God has called you and has set you up some battles that you need to fight. And it needs to be you and him, not you and an army. It needs to be you and God. And as you win these small battles that are small now, but if you think back to some of the things that you fought through, you've actually battled through some pretty big things. They were lion and bear moments. And those lion and bear moments are setting you up for giant moments. They're setting you up to step into your destiny of who you were called to be. See, killing Goliath was just the beginning. As he moved on, David continued to grow and grow and grow and step into who he was called to be, the king of that time. You have so many lion and bear moments, and you have to rely on God, not other people, not what other people say. See, God is speaking to you about what he wants you to do. He's speaking directly to you. He's talking to you, telling you this is what you need to do. Here's the battle you need to fight, and this is the way you need to fight it. And a lot of times we like to go to other people and get their opinion. God speaks to you, then you go and get someone else's opinion, or you sit there and let your mind think it through for you. You start thinking through, well, I don't know, how's this going to work out? And you're not looking at it from God's perspective. God called you to do something, do that thing. He didn't tell you to get anyone else's advice. He didn't tell you to ask someone else what they thought. He said, this is what you need to do. If David would have listened to what other people said do, he would have walked away. He wouldn't have defeated a giant. He wouldn't have been able to step into who he was created to be. He had a bunch of lion and bear moments, had a giant moment, and then went on through life knowing that God has my back at every turn, through everything that we go through. All these other people are going to sit there and tell you that you need to do it their way. They're going to tell you how they did it. They're going to tell you the best way in their mind, but they're not talking to God. They're not hearing from God for you. You're hearing from God for you. Stop letting people talk you out of doing God's business. Stop letting people make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about. Move forward with God, doing what he called you to do. Let all those people stay in the camp being safe. Let them stay there. Let them stay there scared. That's not for you. You were called to something else. David was used to fighting alone. Him and a bear, him and a lion, him and a giant. And those things are all stronger than him, all bigger than him, but God. And no one else believed in him, but God did. God did. No one else believes in you, God did. No one else could help you get through, God did. God did. And then it's wild. You're fighting all these battles that no one else sees, that no one else understands, that no one else can get through. And as you move through these battles, God is giving you all the tools as you move forward. He's giving you all the building blocks for the next phase. When you look at 1 Samuel 21, David's on a run from Saul, and he doesn't have a sword. And he goes to the priest and he says, hey, do you have a sword? And he goes, oh, I got the sword from Goliath. Remember you cut his head off with it? It's your sword. Run it. Take it. And so God gave him the sword that he used. That was a prize from battle when he was a kid. God set that aside for him for a moment in need. See, God is setting aside the spoils of the battles that you fought, and you thought that you didn't get anything out of that battle. You thought that you just fought that in vain and you got beat up and all these things happened. You thought that there was no rewards from that. That there were no spoils, but God set those things aside, and he set things aside in the spirit for you so that you would be ready to give it to you at the time that you were ready for it, because David couldn't handle Goliath's sword when he was a kid, but he can handle it now that he's a grown man. God did not forget about you. He's not withholding on you to mess you up. He's withholding and setting stuff aside for a better future for you and your family. Trust God. Lions, bears, giants. Keep fighting your battles. Don't let other people talk you out of what God has called you to do, and keep moving forward. Watch God move in your life. If you don't have a relationship with God, we talk about it all the time. Pray the prayer. It's a simple prayer. Jesus, I believe you're real. I believe you died on a cross, rose again for me. I confess that with my mouth, believe it in my heart, that you are the Son of God. Come into my life, change me, and run it. You text the number on the screen, you get an online devotional sent back to you that will just email to you every day for the next 30 days, walking through what it means to be somebody who walks with Jesus. Nothing religious, nothing weird, just real. If you need anything from us at Barbecue Church, make sure you hit us up. You can go to our website. You can message us, email us, all that good stuff. Make sure you run over to the Instagram account and jump in on that giveaway so that maybe you can win some steak or some seasoning from Reload Rub. We love you guys. We're excited that you're here. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep fighting these battles and keep watching God do great things through our lives. We love y'all. Bang. See if that one works.